Here we have 3x squared minus 2x minus 12. We're going to solve this quadratic by completing the square. So the first thing I want to do is I want to remove the current c value, because in completing the square we're trying to force it to factor, and the current c value doesn't work. So I'm going to add 12 to the other side. So we have 3x squared minus 2x equals 12. I also know whenever I'm completing the square that my a value's got to be equal to 1. So I'm going to divide everything by 3. That gives me 3x squared, it gives me x squared minus 2/3 x equals 4. Now that a is equal to 1, I'm going to go ahead and complete the square. So I'm going to take half of 2/3 and then square it. So if I take half of 2/3 and square it, half of 2/3 is 1/3. 1/3 squared is 1/9. And whatever I do to one side, I also have to do the other side. Then we're going to take that new quadratic and we're going to factor it. So it's going to give me x minus 1/3 and x minus 1/3. And here we got 37 over 9. Okay. So now that it's factored, we factored into two binomials, and if we created our perfect square trinomial correctly, both those binomials should be exactly the same. That allows me to rewrite x minus 1 times x minus 1, x minus 1/3 times x minus 1/3 as x minus 1/3 squared equals 37 over 9. And since we forced it to factor, we found the binomials that create that trinomial. That allows me to now square root both sides of the equation to remove the squared. That gives me x minus 1/3 equals plus or minus the square root of 37 over the square root of 9. The other problems we looked at, we would have to rationalize at this point, but I know the square root of 9 is equal to 3. So I'm going to just take the square root of 9. So x minus 1/3 is equal to plus or minus the square root of 37 over 3. So now we have the expression x minus 1/3 is equal to positive square root of 37 over 3 and negative square root of 37 over 3. So I'm going to rewrite that expression into two different equations. X minus 1/3 equals root 37 over 3, and x minus 1/3 equals negative root 37 over 3. In the first one, we're going to add 1/3 to both sides. So I add 1/3 to both sides of the equation. That gives me x is equal to 1/3 plus the square root of 37 over 3. Here we add 1/3 to both sides. And that gives me x is equal to 1/3 minus the square root of 37 over 3. And I believe in the homework tonight that was number 9. Okay, so my x-intercepts are 1/3 plus root 37 over 3 and 1/3 minus root 37 over 3.